I'll hop in with a demo. Okay. Guessing you can all see my screen now. Past week I've been doing a little bit more work on the AI stuff. And if you remember, the original kind of way to ask a question is this little bar up here. And I'm starting to kind of piecemeal merge the code for this change. But I've been building out the sidebar more recently. And so when you land in, you'll get a new happy blob. It'll tell you what you need to pick a topic to get started. So let's pick this topic, order items. And then we can start asking fun questions. So I don't know, how many new users? And it's going to keep a history of what you've been asking. And you'll see, hey, there's a little happy blob up here, nice feedback, as well as this query button, which I'll show you what that does in just a second.
Ship it.
Let's add something that definitely does not exist in the model. So let's add like mangoes produced, and see what happens. And I'm expecting this to come back and say, yeah, it tried its best, but the query planner said there's no such field mangoes produced in the model. And you see there's a little sad blobby here now as well. So Jared and I are having some fun with integrating blobby into this. And then I'll show you one more query here. So show me users who placed their first order last month and how many orders. Let's see what happens here. Oh no, you could not find. Okay, well, I was expecting it to come up with a result. So let's try maybe one more. Me for the purposes of this demo. Okay, so this is total users, and you'll see I have a query button here. And as you kind of build a history in the sidebar, it's going to let you jump back and forth between all the queries you built, and it's super snappy because the cache is snappy. So if you have like 10 queries that you've been working through in the sidebar, it makes it really easy to jump back and forth and see what you were doing. Or if you ran a query and you didn't like the result, you can just jump back to where it was before, and keep working from there. So yeah, this is kind of piecemeal getting merged in as we speak. And thanks to Jared for helping out on the design side and yeah, being super supportive.
That's awesome. Does that integrate some of the Viz AI concepts that we've been playing with yet, or is that
Not yet. Right now, this is purely a migration of that top bar into a sidebar with a history, and it's the same functionality, but just in a different interface. And yeah, that's coming up on the roadmap.
Would you also envision the Calcs AI moving over there, or not necessarily?
That's probably a product question. I think there's room to do it. I think it just needs to become clear, like the more functionality that's in there, it might be harder to track what's changing when you ask a query, and like how context sensitive is it. So it's like, oh, am I clicked in this cell? Does that mean I'm going to do a calc in here, or does that mean I'm going to try and do something else? So there's a lot of context sensitivity I think we could introduce with things like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think on the other hand, like we have people writing things in the Calcs AI box that are clearly just like filter applications. So I think that's a real superpower for a less sophisticated user to not have to think about it too.
Yeah,
so it's something to play with.
I think the hard part is getting enough app surface area in there to like create a bar that's high enough when people do type that kind of stuff in. I don't know what that takes, but like you could look through all the stuff that people have punched into Calcs AI, and see the type of app functionality people are looking for. I think it's a lot of stuff that you capture actually, like filtering. But you'll see stuff like conditional formatting in there actually too. We just have to figure out what stuff we would want to lift in to make it like a universal operator.
Yeah, I mean, I already see while testing that if I could like slightly modify the shape of a field with something like a calculation, then it would make a lot of the errors go away. Like it's like, oh, its type slightly doesn't match what the filter is. And it's like, oh, I could create a calculation and then filter on it. That'd be great.
What? So I guess two questions. Does this work embedded?
Yeah, it does. Right now it's turned off for embed, but it's just a flag we can pull out.
Yeah. What would you want to have to pull out that flag?
To have this probably be shipped and functional because it's still under construction. So it's
Okay.
you know,
Because the reason I ask is because I think the place that we've seen the most demand for this actually is in the embedded context, where like the field list is highly curated, and the buyer thinks that their user is so non-sophisticated that using a BI tool is too much work. And we know that we can have like a highly curated model there. Like you could theoretically annotate every single column and like really name them all really well. And so it would be great if that was feasible because that would be like that'd be be a killer for a demo. But I also think just like lots of customers actually want that to be the Explorer experience, is that they want to ship two tables that people can ask questions about.
yeah, I strongly agree. My one caveat would think I'd be thinking a little bit about explaining the scope of it and what it can and can't do because it's gonna if you don't ask a very specific data question, it's just gonna fall over every time. So if a user is like getting too ambiguous or wants something that's not directly about their query, like if you're like, hey, can you explain what happened to me? Right now it doesn't do any of that. So there's probably like a little bit more functionality we want to cover. Um, yeah, I want to understand the embed use case and what type of questions they're asking to make sure we're not just providing something that isn't is going to fall over a lot.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a lot of that might just be being able to hand that kind of stuff to the administrator of the environment so they can see those things. Or just scrubbing the error, like us annotating the error messages that come back. Like instead of just like couldn't find mangoes, it's like can't add filter. Like you're trying to do a thing. This thing is only for querying. I don't know. I'm like that might be annoying also, but I feel like there's probably little things that we could do that could at least make it so that the user could understand what that thing is doing.
Yeah, a few of those are captured on the roadmap, but it's probably good to take another look at it and make sure we're covering that ground thoroughly.
Yeah.